I am saying that Yasiel Puig will more likely end up with the San Francisco Giants. And the outfielders, like they got Jalen Davis, they got Austin Slater, they got Chris Shaw, they got Mike Yastrzemski and Stephen Duggar, and even Mauricio Dubois. Okay, also Alex Dickerson, who's very often injured. Okay, but still, I'm saying that Yasiel Puig is going to be linked to the San Francisco Giants. Okay, they won't block their youngsters by bringing up Kevin Pillar, but I think they would play Yasiel Puig. So if you're looking for, and of course NL only, AL only, if you're in those stupid leagues that must be taken care of, you cannot have an AL only or an NL only league with the threat of losing a player if they're traded. Those days are over. Absolutely over. And then, of course, the Mookie Betts thing is really starting to disgust me, to tell you the truth. Really starting to disgust me. The Mookie Betts thing. It's just, how about Puig to the Cardinals? Absolutely, Traveler. That's a good one. I agree with you, but I think the Cardinals are making, it's the pitch for Arenado. And I got news for you. When they had Ozuna, they still needed another bat. So now, even if they get Arenado, they still need another bat. So, yes, I will say that's a terrific prediction, Traveler. Yasiel Puig to the St. Louis Cardinals. Don't forget, when you come into this chat room, it's not just hearing my stupid voice babbling all over town. It's about the wonderful people who are so you come in here every day. You have to be knowledgeable about sports or you got the worst boring life in the history of the major leagues. It's all about, your love for the game, your knowledge of the game, and believe me when I tell you, I don't answer all the questions. And I knew Brooks would be in here. Brooks Antonello, who, ladies and gentlemen, made it through yesterday, although wobbling along with the legend. We wobbled together. I was hoping you'd be here in the morning yesterday, Brooks, as we held hands most of the day. And today looks pretty good. So I'll tell you something, Brooks. When I looked at the futures this morning and I saw green, holy shit. Yeah, it's going to open up positive this morning. Yeah, Brooks and I were like the general managers. We invest. Yeah, the futures got killed yesterday, but this morning we're okay. So we're okay. Yeah, I know. The Dow. I almost took Dow Chemical yesterday and swallowed the whole freaking thing. Anyway, forget about Brooks and I are going to do a stock market report. The Dow is up now 128 on the future market. So have no fear, Brooks. It's not going to be another day like yesterday. Okay, let's get back onto it. And today's Tuesday. I do believe Arnie is coming up next. Now, I'm not sure because I still don't have a schedule. I think Arnie's coming up next. And then Kevin will be here at some point. Kevin's just doing a fabulous job. Okay, let's continue on. We're going to talk about the Cleveland. But let's first talk about the Mookie Betts thing. And I've been talking about it because I'm only getting my information from the San Diego newspapers. Look, they got Tommy Pham. They got Pomerantz in the offseason. They got Chris Paddock coming up. But you can't expect San Diego to give up prospects to get 1 year of Mookie Betts and maybe make the playoffs, especially now with Arizona so stocked with the Dodgers. So I think that the Dodgers will give up prospects to make it to the World Series, while the Padres will not give up prospects to make it to the playoffs. Doesn't make any sense. And what they were talking about was, and does it make sense? They're talking about Myers owns $61 million over the next 3 seasons. The Red Sox were offering to assume about half of that. Okay? The Padres believed they would only like to eat about a quarter of that. So they want the Red Sox to pick up 3/4, which makes no sense. Makes no sense. And the players that are bantered around, though, I'm not making this stuff up. This is not my speculation. It's Manny Margot or Josh Naylor. And I like Naylor. I think Naylor's going to have an interesting career. And either Cal Quantrill or Joey Lucchese for Mookie Betts. Now, why would San Diego give up these two guys for Mookie Betts of 1 year so they could try to make the playoffs? I don't get that. With two strong teams ahead of them, I don't quite get it. Okay. So anyway, that's the story there. And if you're thinking about Marte, he's got a very good OPS at Chase Field. That's the highest OPS at Chase Field of any ballpark he's played in at least 5 times, and he's got 10 doubles and a 403 batting average. So there you go. And of course, one of the other things, if you know the minor leagues like Phil Chaplin does, Geraldo Perdomo, who was closer to the majors than any of these guys and ranked higher, they didn't have to give him up. According to Jim Bowden, the Nolan Arenado deal is inevitable, but nobody can figure out the team that he's going to. And here's something really freaking stupid. In addition to the fact that we all are beginning to think that Major League Baseball had every indication that something was going on. Hey, you go, White Sox Al made it to work. There you go. Thank you, White Sox Al. Love you, man. I love the White Sox Al. You got to love White Sox Al. There you are. He's out there. Say hello to White Sox Al. I feel like Donald Trump now, okay? At a rally. Now, here's the thing. Just right. So anyway, here's the thing. It seems that they knew about teams cheating but didn't feel like they had to do anything about it. And now they've been talking about making the game faster. All right, making the game faster. Now, at the same time they're talking about making the game faster, shortening the game time, now they're talking about the DH going to the National League. And what does that do? It makes the games longer. And, of course, they got a collective bargaining agreement that expires 12/21. So they're talking about the DH in the National League. Okay, now that's fine. But you can't talk about the DH in the National League when you're talking about making the game shorter. Because what does that do? It makes the game longer. Because now you have hitters coming up instead of pitchers. I mean, look, in Coors Field, for example, there were 1,044 runs scored at Coors Field last year. That's almost 13 runs a game. Okay? And the juice ball played into that last year. And what does it mean when there's more scoring? It means more game time. More game time. So the DH is not going to make the games any lower. Okay, the average game time in Major League Baseball was a record 3 hours and 5 minutes in 2019. But it was even slower at Coors Field with all the offense. Average 3 hours and 23 minutes. So now you're adding more offense to the game. And what are you doing? What are you doing? And I don't care that they're doing it, but give me a freaking break. Don't clamor for faster games and at the same time add the DH to make the games longer. It shows me that somebody doesn't know what the freak they're doing. I mean, in 2019, the National League pitchers hit a combined 131 with 25 home runs. Now, the American League number 9 hitters hit 224 compared to 131 with 244 combined home runs. Okay? I mean, it's not exactly apples to apples, but still gives you an example. You think 244 home runs takes more time than 25 home runs? You think a 224 batting average takes more time than a 131 batting average? Whoa, baby. So, Nick Castellanos, who turns 28, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All right? He was second in the majors with 88 extra base hits. He scored. All right, anyway, he's going to spell Joey Votto at first base. And when the Texas Rangers were after Castellanos, he was willing to play first. Never played the position. He'll be there. But Nick Senzel, potential in center field. He's dealt with a few injuries. And Senzel, I'm telling you, he could play second base or third base. He doesn't appear to be an option at shortstop, though. That's the thing. So, they need a shortstop, right? That's right. And come on, people. I want you when Francisco Lindor, and now John Heyman's talking about it. What are you doing? It's the second time John Heyman has stole something from me. I talked about this weeks ago, that Lindor was going to Cincinnati, and now Heyman's talking about it. I remember back many years ago when Irwin and I were standing, and I saw John Heyman standing right behind us. And I said, this was during the labor draft, and I said to Irwin, as loud as I could, with making believe that I was not trying to be loud, I said to him that Don Mattingly was going to St. Louis. John Heyman put it in his column the next day. And, he remembered that, too. Irwin met him a couple of years ago, and Heyman remembered Irwin. Winker, Jesse Winker, interesting player. Mostly used as a platoon player when he was healthy last year. Look, Philip Irwin, really pretty good against certain pitching. But I got to tell you, so don't forget Senzel and Winkler entered last year on the injured list. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. But it'll work itself out. Cincinnati, absolutely. And if you would have taken my prediction and a month ago bet on Cincinnati, you would have had a great bet there with great odds. And now the odds are not going to be so great. Okay, so there you go. Senzel remains on track to start the opening day season on time. Underwent surgery to repair a labrum in his right shoulder. Missed the final 3 weeks, okay? But he's ready to go. And there you go. Here, and look, in the winter warm, I got to tell you, sir, remember I told you last week in the winter that Colton Wong, now it's all over the St. Louis newspapers. Colton Wong and Harrison Bader have a bet about who's going to steal more bases. They're talking about 30. 30 stolen bases is the goal that they're both pitching to each other. And that would be incredible. The last time a National League team had two guys steal 30 bases, when was the last? I'm going to throw this out to George in the chat room. Name the last time a National League team had two players steal 30 bases each. Okay? And let's see if Colton Wong and Harrison Bader could do that. So when I tell you something, take a look in the St. Louis newspaper, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. They're talking now in St. Louis about what we've been talking about in the chat room for a couple of weeks. How about that? All right? That's why it's so great to be here in the wonderful chat room of love and baseball. Ain't that right, Andy? Okay, now, let me just... This is a rare moment in my life today, I tell you what. It's rare. I've absolutely gotten all screwed up here. All right, Cleveland Indians. Want to take a look at the chat room once again. Spoke to Malpal yesterday, by the way. Great to speak to the Mal. Great to speak to Malpal. Brooks, we're getting ready. Arnie coming up next. Lindor and Ramirez is wrong. Okay? Nixon and Dion. Sanders, you mean. Trot Nixon. No, was not. Named the last time. It's a great question, right? There you go. Yeah, Heyman will have a mystery team interested in Lindor. It'll be